Hello, thanks for watching today. Today we are going to paint Whiskers and Punkin on an 8x8 canvas. We're going to be using a 1/2 inch flat brush, a couple of small rounds, and another round that's about a size 4 or 6. We're going to be using Blick Acrylics in titanium white, Mars black, deep yellow, burnt umber, chrome orange, and chrome yellow. We're also going to be using a paper towel, so I use a select-a-size, just one, wet it, squeeze it out, and then I open it up and shake it out, and I kind of let it fall into my other hand, and I scrunch it so it's kind of like a little rosebud shape. And then I'm going to start pouncing into the deep yellow, and I'm going to start just pouncing it straight up and down on my canvas with that damp paper towel. And I'm going to do more, and then I will be dipping into the chrome yellow. So as I build this up, I'm also going to add burnt umber around the edges, but I'm going to let the colors kind of mingle a little. You'll see the chrome yellow and the deep yellow are kind of mixing together right now, but my motion is just straight up and down tapping. So I let the colors kind of dance in and out, adding more of the brighter chrome yellow to the center. I want the center of the canvas to be brighter. And now I'm going to start adding a little more deep yellow. And then I'll be adding burnt umber as well. And I will be speeding up the video for the rest of this pouncing process. If the paint won't stick, you can go ahead, as you put it on, if you want to add more paint and it won't stick because your other paint is wet, just blow dry it and then come back and add more paint. I was able to get the entire base done without stopping to dry it, but it kind of depends on your environment, whether it's humid or dry, things like that. I always keep a blow dryer handy. Okay, so soon we'll be done with this, and then I will show it to you with the cat traced on, which I will do off screen with transfer paper. It's looking pretty good. Okay, now here it is with the cat traced on. And I'm trying to find the perfect zoom spot for you there. We are going to take our round brush and some white paint, and we're going to paint the eyes of the cat. Now you don't have to be perfect because we're going to put a little some black hairs around there too if you want. You can decide if you want to add a little bit of hair or not. I like it either way. So what you see me doing every now and then is right there, I was just wiping the water off of my ferrule, because sometimes after you wet your brush, you still have water on the ferrule. If it drips down the ferrule, it will go right past the bristles onto your canvas and create a little puddle. So you'll very often see me wiping that off on my other hand when I'm using a fine brush. So right now I'm taking a little bit of the chrome orange, as you can see very little, a little bit of white, and I'm painting the inside of the cat's ears, making them just a little darker toward the innermost part of the ears. We're going to add a lot of black fur around, and it will be up to you how much of that inner ear you want to show. Just have fun and kind of be loose with it, especially when we do the hair. You can have a lot of fun and make the hair stick up different ways. It's super cute. So now we're going to work on the pumpkin, and we're taking the chrome orange, and I'm going to fast forward through this. This is just base coating the pumpkin in the segments just to help give it shape. I do paint it in those segments, but you won't be able to see the shading and highlighting yet. I do add a little chrome yellow now, but you really don't see it. We'll have to come back and work on it, the highlighting as that dries. Okay, I'm rinsing the brush, and then now I'm going to take some burnt umber with a small pointed brush I'm going to take a little of the burnt umber. The water gets pretty dirty quickly, but it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and paint the pumpkin stem with the burnt umber, which is a dark brown. And then I'm going to pull a little, kind of like a stem tendril off of that, using the liner brush and a little bit of water. So you can see that there. Add a little bit more just to make it a little thicker. Now I'm starting to shade the pumpkin, and I'm shading on the outside of the center segment, on the outside segments, with the point of the brush pointing toward the center of the pumpkin. And you'll see me add the shading on the opposite side, again pointing toward the pumpkin, and a little bit at the bottom. So now I'm working on the cat, and I'm using the small flat, the 1/2 inch flat, and I'm just kind of wiggling the brush to kind of give it a furry look. I'm going down. We're going to create a little floor under it, or a base. And if this brush is a little big and you have a smaller flat, you can use that. But we're going to go ahead and make the hair on the body of the cat also. So you can do that with a flat brush if you're comfortable. Like that. You can see me coming outside the body a little bit with the hair strokes, but some areas are a little bit narrow. So we want to go down the left side and make some hair stick out there too. Can come out onto the pumpkin. Pumpkin's kind of behind the cat there on the right hand side. So I'm starting with that, but the smaller round brush will be better than the flat brush in this area because we're going around the eyes. I put the eyes in now just to kind of hold the place for them to make it easier later. So I'm pulling the brush and I'm making little hairs that kind of stick out from the cat, as you can see. And I'm going to go all around the face. I did not speed the video up for this part so that you could see all the brush strokes. You can make this as hairy and silly as you want, or as serious as you want. I'm going to put in some little hairs up between the ears, and later on I'll add some bigger hairs up there and some whiskers at the end. I almost forgot the whiskers and had to restart the video and go in and add whiskers. So there we go. We're making little hairs. So cute. I'm adding a little bit of water to the paint and then rolling the brush so that my fine brush has paint that's a little bit watered down. This kind of takes practice. There's a fine line between too much water and not enough. So we put hairs all around, and then we're going to put some on the outside of the ear. So that inner ear is still showing, but I am stroking some little hairs on it also. Now I'm turning it upside down because it's always easier to pull a brush towards you than to try to pull it or push it away from you. You have more control this way. So you'll see me turn my canvas a lot when I'm working. It depends on the angle, and you'll get used to what works best for you. When I'm painting like this, I usually paint flat, and very often when I'm painting at home and not in a teaching situation, I will paint flat as opposed to on an easel. It's all a matter of preference. I'm going to go around both eyes. Again, I'm using my very fine liner. That one's a 3-0. Just going to rinse it a little bit. Always pull your brush over your paper towel in the direction of the hairs, just as if it was green on wood. Keep your bristles as nice as you can. Now I'm gone back to the flat brush to fill in the rest of the face, because I got the edges with the hairs done. Again, use the brush that works best for you for these tighter areas. Just keep in mind that round brushes tend to make more stroke marks. I'm going to go all around the little face. Just going to continue to fill in with the black. You want to go slow around those eyes. Now if you want to, you can always put the eyes on top of the black after. And I was okay with these getting covered up if that does happen. I just kind of wanted a placeholder there. All right. So now I'm going back with some of the white and trying to reshape the eyes a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's looking a little more even. Gonna rinse that brush out. Now I'm taking a little bit more of the black and just putting a little bit of hairs around the edges of the black on the ears. So there I'm just touching up some areas that need a little bit more black because there was a little bit of background showing. Okay, now we're going to start working on the tail, and I'm making all the little hairs on the tail as we go up. I'm letting them stick out just beyond the shape that I've traced. If you make a solid tail and you leave kind of a ridge on the edge, when you go to put the hairs on, you're always going to see that tail shape under it. So I try to get the hairs in before so that we won't have a hard line there that we have to try to camouflage. So we're coming down, and then I'll fill in the rest of the tail with solid black. Again, I'm just using one of the smaller round brushes. You want to use what you're comfortable with and what will fit in the area. Okay, I will be coming back and making the base of that tail just a little bit thicker also. So I'm adding some more hairs on the ear and coming out on the top a little bit, making them look a little more silly, a little more whimsical. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit of a leg, sort of a hip, so to speak, in front of that pumpkin. It's just a simple silhouette, so we're not going to get too carried away with detail. As it dries, that's when you'll see if it needs a little more paint anywhere, if there's background showing through. Okay, so now, let's see, we're going to take more of the black. You can fast forward anyway through any parts that you'd like, but I put the center, I'm using the back of the brush, and I'm putting some black pupils in the eyes, and I'm going both to the left side to make it look like it's kind of looking over that way. And you just want to use, you know, your brush or whatever tool you're comfortable with to try to make those the same size. I'm adding some little hairs around the eye, but that's totally optional. Sometimes it can make your eye look a little messy, so it's really up to you if you want to do that. I might opt not to the next time. Okay. Now I took a little orange, and I'm going to need a little bit of white with it, and I'm making the tiniest little nose there. I left it very simple. I didn't put a mouth or anything. And now I'm putting like a little line in between just the two front legs. With I'm using white and a little bit of black so it gives a gray look. And then I'm going to put some out on that hip a little bit. Okay. Super cute. Now I put some little white hairs up at the top of the head. Just a little tiny bit going in different directions there. And it helps just brighten up that face a little bit. And then I just put a couple little ones there between the eyes there. Okay, now we're rinsing. I want that not quite as bright up there, so I'm adding a little black over the white while it's wet. I'm just adding a touch more orange to the nose. Okay, now I'm going over to the pumpkin, and I'm putting in some white highlights. I'm using the small round brush, a little bit of brown and white, burnt umber, and I'm just adding a little highlight to the stem. I'm adding a little touch of black to the other side of the stem. And along the bottom of the pumpkin. Okay, so now I'm using the flat brush and I'm adding some black under the cat and the pumpkin. And then I'm just going to kind of blend it by rubbing the brush side to side. And I'm holding the brush the narrow way up at the top of the shadow, and I'm just going straight across. Once I get it under the pumpkin, I'm just going to go a little bit straight across and then rub it down. There we go. Adding just a little bit more. That makes the cat look like he's actually standing on a floor. Okay. As you come down with the brush, just let it kind of run out of paint so it's just more like a dry brush at the bottom. I know we need to fatten up that tail a little bit. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to little details. I like to really mess around with them. I lose myself in the process. I want to enjoy. I hope you enjoy it too when you're painting. Just enjoy the process of it. It's so relaxing. I was just widening the white a little bit on the left side of the pupil. Okay, the pumpkin feels dry, so I'm grabbing the chrome yellow, excuse me, and I am adding it over the white. So we put the white in and we let it dry, and now we're going over the white with some chrome yellow, and we're highlighting that pumpkin. Adding a little bit more of the orange at the bottom just to make it darker. And a little bit of the burnt umber. Remember, it's our dark colors and our lighter colors, shading and highlighting, that give our painting shape and dimension. Just touching up that stem a little bit. Okay, and now I'm making the base of that tail a little bit thicker. I have some black and I'm adding in some hairs, and that looks a lot better. It was just a little bit too skinny where it attached to the body. Now I'm just going back around and adding some little hairs here and there. This is where you can really have fun with it. Give it more character. See how just adding a little more hair up at the top of the ears kind of changed the look a little bit. Now I'm grabbing some white and I'm putting a little highlight inside the left side of each of the pupils and a little bit at the top of the nose. Now I'm signing my initials in the corner, and I was thinking our little Whiskers cat was done, and I realized that I had not given it whiskers yet. So once I'm done signing, it will change to a scene where I'm actually adding whiskers. So I'm using the finest brush, which is a 3-0 liner, and I'm going to water the paint down. And I do that by putting a puddle of water near my paint and pulling the paint into the puddle. And then, first, like I said, I thought I was done here, so here's where I did my edge with a sponge. I'm doing the edging in black. That's how I like to finish them off, especially with the black cat. The black edging looks amazing. When you do this, you want your painting to face up so you can see where you're going. In case you bring the color around the front, you'll know where you're going with it. Okay, now we're just going to do the bottom. It's kind of a little tricky to hold on to sometimes. Okay. So I have to clean up there where I got a little smudge, so I'm just wetting the corner of a paper towel and just wiping that away. The paint is really easy to take off when it's still wet. You just have to be careful. There we go. This is where I thought I was all done. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I didn't give Whiskers any whiskers. So now I'm going to add the whiskers. Again, watering down the paint, like I said. And I'm going to go right into the face and then pull the whiskers out. And I curve them a little, or I pull them out straight. And I let them crisscross. That's up to you, but cats have a lot of whiskers and they don't always, just stick out perfectly. They do crisscross. So just kind of have fun with it. Make yourself happy. There's one that crisscrosses, and then I'm going to put another one over there to balance. Super cute. I'm going to put a couple more little hairs and some hairs on the top of the head, so I make the fur stick out a little bit more where the whiskers are. You can see all these little strokes and everything, just keep giving it more and more character. There I go. A few more hairs sticking out off the top of his head. Keep them fine and wiry like that. All right. So cute. I love this painting. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you again in another video. Have a wonderful day.